There.
I'm a little nervous.
Rolling there. Me too. I always am. I told Mike that too. He's like, do you get nervous? I'm like, before each one. That's why I keep doing it. You know, I like things that make me nervous.
Yes, challenge.
And I'm not sure why this one makes me so nervous. It's like, I don't want to... I don't know. I don't know why this one makes me so nervous sometimes.
I feel like, because I'm normally I was a reporter for a long time.
Really?
And now I'm obviously in marketing, but I'm so used to being the one asking the questions. So now that it's on me, it's like, oh my God, what do I say?
The roles have reversed.
Yes. I feel like so weird. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm just used to the opposite end. It's very weird when now it's like people asking me stuff.
Well, hopefully it flows more like a conversation than interview of questions type. Because I do have some things I'd like to ask you, but more importantly, we'll see how it goes. So let's jump right in here, Gina. So sitting here today, another episode of the podcast. On the mic today is Gina Boyett. Yeah. Did that change? Is that your correct last name? Okay.
Yes. It was Honori, and I recently got married, and now it's Boyett. And it's definitely been weird. Like, I keep trying to get used to it. But yes, it is officially Boyett.
When I wrote that down, I was like, is that her maiden name? I knew you just got married in the Keys, right? You guys got married down in the Keys. And I was like, man, I should have asked you beforehand. Okay. Yeah, so Gina Boyett, the CEO of Shapeshift Marketing, right? Yes. Shapeshift Marketing. Awesome. And I've been learning that you're quickly becoming quite the legend around here in the office for a few different reasons, right? And then the first one is that a lot of people have been saying they've been coming to you for support from marketing and how you've been helping them, things like that. Multiple of the local businesses here, and then in your and my conversations, you had I'm learning more about you as we go, but you had a surf magazine, you had a clothing line at some point, so you're quite the legend entrepreneur. So appreciate you coming in here. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Well, let's start with this. Are you from Florida or the Space Coast, or where are you from?
I'm originally from South Florida. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Davie.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But by like the Everglades and stuff like I was talking about earlier, I'm from Davie originally.
Yeah. And your dad still lives down that way, the Everglades, or you were telling me? Okay.
And then I moved out to California for a while, but then I honestly missed Cocoa Beach, and I'm like, I want to... Because before Cali, I lived in Cocoa Beach, and then I moved there, and now I'm back. Okay.
What was the difference between California? Were you at the beach in California, somewhere beachside over there?
Yeah, I was in a little town called Leucadia. It's in San Diego area, but it was like right on the beach. Okay. And I mean, it was awesome. I met a lot of cool people, but I don't know. I just really missed Cocoa Beach. I feel like there's nothing like Cocoa Beach that I've seen so far. It's very like... It was really small before. Now it's growing. But like the people here, you can actually like have conversations with. Like it's very warm and welcoming. And then, Cali was cool, but I feel like the people were just a little bit not like that.
I can feel that. I've only been out to California once, and it was recently. It was back in January. And everybody was cool. I was out there for work, surfing and hanging out. But I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, it's just like when you visit, it's cool, but then living there is a different story.
Sure. But I agree with Cocoa Beach. I think I've been coming to Cocoa Beach since I was 5, probably something like that. And as I've gotten older, I have realized exactly what you said. People are really warm around here. It's a small community. It's a lot about, who you know, obviously, in certain aspects, but it's growing fast. Cocoa Beach is changing, like everywhere in Florida. Can't stop that. But
and where are you from?
Orlando. Yeah, born and raised right over there. That's why I've been coming over here as long as I have to chase waves and do different things.
Very cool.
Very cool. So tell me about Shapeshift Marketing, right? I've heard a little bit through like our Friday meetings and things we do together. But for people that don't know, how did you get into this? Where did this idea come from? And how's that been going?
Yeah. So it's a digital marketing agency. Sorry.
You can move that as much as you want.
So it's a digital marketing agency. We specialize in pretty much anything digital marketing. So what that means is like Google Ads, PPC, web development, social media marketing.
PPC, pay-per-click.
Yeah, like Google Ads. Yeah. Like I said, web development. We do content marketing, email marketing, social media marketing, anything pretty much on the web that helps businesses grow through marketing. That's what we do. And then I guess the story of how it came about, like you said, I had a surfing magazine like years ago. This is probably like 7 or 8 years ago now. And I've always, I think, just had that entrepreneurial spirit. There came a time with the magazine where right when I I guess the middle of, running it, social media, SEO, which is search engine optimization, Google, all of that really came in strong. And when I was talking to a lot of, companies, they're like, okay, this is great, but how am I supposed to know how many people clicked or viewed, or like they wanted to track it more like they could on, Google. And there's certain way, like you can do coupon codes and stuff, but it's a lot more, I guess, elusive than really being able to track everything through analytics. And that's today what I love is like I can show businesses, hey, this is how much traffic you're getting. This is the demographics, like, white, black, ages, whatever. This is what they're interested in. Google now can really help you like hone in on that.
Nice.
Whereas the magazine, it wasn't so much. It was more like a guessing game, if that makes sense. So I decided to really learn more about that. And I worked for another ad agency after that, which was awesome. I learned a lot being there, but I will say, I don't want to badmouth, and there's, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like I said, working for other people is just not for me.
Yeah.
I really love the freedom that comes with being an entrepreneur. I love the financial freedom, the time you get with your family. Now as a mom, like everything's different. And I would call out, or I would be like, hey, my kid's sick. And then I would like get threatened that I'm going to be fired or something. And it's like, I can't live that way.
Sure.
So I'm like, I could literally do this myself, just like before, you know? So that's kind of where it came.
Yeah. Very cool. And I think that speaks to of how a lot of people think about corporations having bosses. Is I think there's a drive for a lot of people to do their own thing, be their own boss, and it's cool that you figured out a way to make that happen. How many years has it been now? When did you start ShapeShift?
It's only been a little bit over, probably like a year and a half now.
Okay. So yeah.
So we're still very new.
Still very new. Yeah. And still, do you enjoy it? Is it something?
Yes.
That's probably a loaded question, but I like to make sure people enjoy it. Yeah.
I absolutely love it, but I will say, and that's something I was like, I would love to talk about today, is I feel like when you look at like Instagram and TikToks and stuff of like entrepreneurial, it's like the new almost like fad now, and people make it look so easy. And it's not easy, especially as a woman and a mother. I know, obviously you have your own, men and fathers have their own issues. And as women, I just feel like society expects us to cook, clean, take care of the kids. Now it's like work. Because back in the day, women just stayed home and their job was to take care of everything at home. And that's awesome. I have nothing against that. I wish I could do that. But financially now, like we're in a spot where like both people generally have to make that income. And if they don't have to, that's awesome. But for us, we do. So it's tough to balance running a business, because running a business isn't just like the 9 to 5. Like you're working around the clock. Even when I get home, I'm still working or thinking about work, and I'm trying to stop. But like that is a huge part of it. That's really difficult. But there's pros and cons. Like I said before, you get that freedom. I can take off whenever, like being on vacations. But I think just the challenge for me has been like taking care of the kids, cleaning the house, making dinner, taking care, being like the best wife I can be. We have 3 boys at home.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so it's a full house.
Yes.
We got cats, dogs, fishes. We got a lot going on. And
plus your husband, the 4th boy.
Yes,
I'm sure.
I call him my 4th child.
The 4th child.
I love him, but it's a joke. But it's like balancing that with a business, which in my opinion is like another baby. You have to put a lot of energy into that.
Especially the first couple of years, right? I mean,
100%.
It's just like an infant. They're the hardest in the beginning.
Yes, and there's so many problems and fires that like come about. Like recently we went on our honeymoon, and my goal, it was a week long. My goal was the week to just not touch the business. Like let it run on its own. I had everything set up. And the biggest fire you could think of happened while we were gone. It was like 2 days into our trip. One of our clients' websites got hacked into.
Oh no!
And I had to work. I couldn't just be like, oh, I'm on vacation. Like I wish at another job you could, but I couldn't. And so those times are really challenging. But it doesn't matter. I still love it, and I feel like it's still worth it. But it's hard. Like anything that's worth something, it's hard work. If that makes sense.
100%. And you're speaking a lot of the similar languages that I think about, because I've worked for 2 large corporations now, and I have 2 kids and a wife at home also. And there is this balance between how much time should I be working and acquiring resources, because you have to your point, in today's day and age. But to me, I probably spend more of my time trying to be a father and a husband, and my family is huge. There's like 60 of us. So I see my parents regularly, my grandparents regularly.
That's cool.
So my kids get to see their aunts and uncles and all their cousins. So it's almost a full-time job, just spending time with the family, because there's so many of us. But I think as I get older, I try to think of things like, what am I going to look back on and be glad that I spent time doing? And it seems like I'm going to be glad to spend more times on my family and my hobbies than chasing and trying to make money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's actually interesting you say that, because there's a couple weeks ago we had to put our cat down, unfortunately, and I've had this cat she, I say, because I thought it was a girl for like years, and then I found out it was a boy. But I still say she.
I thought you were going to tell me you have a transgender cat.
That's what I call. I do call it was Jane. We say she's a tranny because you got to see her to understand, or him. Yes. But we had to put her down, unfortunately, and it was it was so hard. We had like a little ceremony at home, and like they came into the home and did it. But it was probably one of the toughest things I've experienced. Yeah. But through that, it was almost like, I know now we're getting deep, kind of like you like really go down the rabbit hole.
It happens fast in here. It's intimacy of it. Yes.
It really does. Yes. But like seeing her kind of just soul, like go wherever they go, it makes you realize, like, wait a minute, like I'm so sometimes in that hustle bustle of like, growing the business, making money, but like really none of that matters. Like it does, you have to take care of your family, but at the same time, like when we die and stuff, I'm like, what really matters to me is like relationships, family, love, like that is so important.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know where it changed along the way, but definitely it seems like, and you can blame capitalism, you can blame a lot of different things. There's pros and cons to that as well. But yeah, this idea of, working to pay your bills and then you die, like that doesn't seem, to me, it doesn't seem like what we're supposed to do here.
Absolutely.
I don't know what we're supposed to do, if there is a supposed to do, but definitely working just to pay your bills and missing out on friends, family, and relationships is not the way I'm trying to go about it, at least now. Absolutely. I hate to hear about, losing a pet. And I sometimes wonder, why is it that it takes things like that for us to have those moments? Because we can get so caught up in the day in, day out, the hustle and bustle. The next thing you know, 4 years go by and you're like, man, I haven't done anything for myself or towards my hobbies in a long time. But I don't know why that is, why it takes big events like that to sort of put us back in check, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's a great question. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, everyone wants life to be like perfect, or we all want happiness, right? But I feel like those key events like are so important because they are teachers. Like life is ever changing, and I don't know, when you're going through something deep or dark, it for me it like sucks in the moment, and I'm like, why God or whatever. But it's like those are teachers. Like we have to have like the yin and the yang and the white and the black to learn and grow. So I think that's, I guess, why I feel
that's a good way to look at it. Is you don't know happiness unless you've been sad. You don't know. You need that yin and yang. You need that mix of things to be able to have an understanding. Yeah, that's part of humans too, I suppose. Yeah. Are you a fan of Marvel movies? Have you seen any of them? There's a reason why I'm asking. I'm not changing the subject.
No, it's okay. Normally not, to be honest, but lately my 3-year-old has been really getting into them, especially Spider-Man. Like he will not take off. I got him pajamas.
Nice.
He wants to wear them to school, to the store. He freaks out. But yes, we have been really getting into Marvel lately. Okay. So
there's a line in one of the movies, I can't remember, but it stuck with me. And it's Thor says this. Somebody says some word and he goes, that's a made up word. And Thor goes, all words are made up. And
that's true.
It struck with me. I'm like, man, all words literally are in every language made up as a representation. So I say that a lot when people use that perfect term. When you said people want life to be perfect,
right?
That's definitely a made up word. Perfect is subjective to you, subjective to me, subjective to the individual. But I like to bring that one up when people start throwing that perfect word around. There's not really any such thing. Things kind of just are what they are, I suppose. That's kind of the more I think about it as I go along here.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
All words are made up. I say that to my kids now, and they're like, yes, we know all words are made up.
I'm going to take it and I'm going to say it to them.
Yes, nice.
They're going to be like, Mom, what are you talking about?
Yes. But I have this love-hate for money just in general. I think somewhere along the way, we shifted towards, the family approach and towards women. I think back when we, had the traditional homemaker. Is that what it?
Yeah.
Homemaker. The cost of living wasn't near as expensive.
I know.
For different reasons. Obviously you can throw in inflation or things I don't really understand. I just know what the word means, I guess. But also just the sheer stuff that we think we have to have now. I mean, your cell phone bill, your power bill, your cable internet, your multiple car payments, things you didn't have back when women were more primarily in the home raising children. Do you think that's impacted people differently, not having their mothers around as much?
I think so. I feel like society as a whole, there's a lot of things. I guess I can go down that, but there's a lot of things society as a whole has just changed. I can go on a tangent on this, but like I said, I think
it's a sore subject for some people to bring up.
It's just very interesting. I feel like technology it's great, but it's also a huge detriment in certain ways.
Sure.
The instant gratification society that we're in is they didn't have Instagram and cell phones and all that back in the day. As a woman, I compare myself to other women on Instagram, or if my man likes something, I'm like, hey, what the heck? Those problems didn't happen, and now divorce rates are way more higher than they were back in the day. And but back to your point about money, I really struggled with that for a long time, and I still do sometimes. But before, when I had my business, the magazine, I didn't have kids. I didn't have a husband. It was just me. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment on the beach. It was $600 a month. At that time, it seemed like $600, but now it's we pay $2,500. So it's the difference,
Oh yeah.
But I looked at money more playful. I had a little manifestation jar, and I did surf lessons. I also did the magazine, and I would just get money, put it in this jar, and have fun with it, and it was there. I don't know, it just worked. Now as a mom and a business owner, I'm okay, well, if I don't make X amount, I can't, feed my kids. I can't pay our rent. Not that, the husband contributes, but together, these are things that it's more threatening. It's more real. And it puts more pressure to where it's not as fun anymore. But I still have that spiritual side of me. Okay, let's manifest and make this fun. But it's hard for me. I'm okay, I'm trying to have fun with this, but then when it gets closer and closer, a client drops off or two, or something happens, it's my heart beats and I think of my kids, and I'm it's just more pressure.
Yes, people say it all the time, but they definitely change how I'll speak for myself. They change how I think and how I feel and how I operate. But I agree with you. Is when I too had a 1-bedroom apartment. It was $650 a month. That was back in the. It wasn't that long ago. It feels like it wasn't that long ago. But once kids come, I think there is something natural to wanting to make sure they're provided for in whatever way that looks like. But I think there's a balance there too, because you could be, I'll speak for myself again, I was chasing money so much that it would take me away from them. Oh, no. I got to go to this state to do this. I got to fly here to do that. And then I'm missing things, right? And at the end of the day, I think they want me there more than they want money.
Of course.
And that's the hard balance, I think, is because you do want to provide for them. You want them to, if they want to go to college and they don't get scholarships or whatever, you want to be able to pay for that. And obviously you want them to eat and have a roof over their head and those kind of things. But it's such a balance because, Mike and I talked about this too, is, some people that get born with a silver spoon, they have every single thing, or families that have generational wealth. Sometimes those individuals have a hard time, seems like, becoming an adult or getting to the point to where they're self-sufficient or appreciate anything. For sure.
I'd rather, it'd be cool to be born with a bunch of money, but I'd rather not, because it does build character and it makes you value things more, I agree. And I feel also money, because I thought about this topic a lot. I always think of it, and it's why did God, I always viewed money and God as separate things. Not that they're not, but also if you look at money as like almost like a spiritual energy, it's also a tool to like help people. Like there are kids starving in Africa.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so cliche, but like
there are
traveling, we have it very good here. And if I could use money as a tool to like not only provide for my family, but help other people, that's amazing. It's like, you know, when you die, what matters is those memories and who you've helped and the change and impact you've made on the world. And money can be a spiritual tool for that. Not that you need it to help people, but it also can create, you know, awesome change too.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
And it has, you know, just in the history of humans, it 100% has. But I agree with you that in America, we have it a certain way versus in other countries, especially when you start meeting people from other countries or going to other countries and seeing how bad it is. But it's bad in America in some cases too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's, you know, starving kids in different states all over.
That's true.
And I think that's going to continue to rise with how expensive things become, you know, less jobs that are probably going to be available or even just less that people don't want to work the kind of jobs that they used to in the past as well. But I don't know. I've never had that sort of, which when you were mentioning that like calling to feel like I need to make an impact, whether it's on other people or another place. That's interesting. Where do you think that came from for you, where you have that desire to you know, maybe use money as a tool to help others like that? I don't know. I don't have that, I don't think.
That's okay. I feel like everyone's born different. Like we all have different callings and opinions and like souls and like what may be a calling for one person doesn't mean it has to be for everybody. Can you imagine if everybody in the world had the same opinions, ideas, desires? Like
very boring place.
It'd be so boring and like nothing really would get done. Like we need different personalities and, you know, callings and purposes for everybody. Like that's just how the world is. So
fair.
I don't know that I can answer that, but I just know, ever since I was little, I always like to help people. It's always just been something that selfishly makes me feel better too. So, you know, it's kind of a selfish thing, but it's also not. It's like a good selfish, if that makes sense.
It's one of my favorite words to describe myself as is selfish. I think there is something to that's gotten us a long way to be selfish as individuals, I think. And I'm glad that you mentioned it like that, because there is some gratification, I'm sure, to donating, whether it's time or money or whatever, to helping people or helping a cause, for sure. Absolutely. I've always felt that time was more valuable than money to me, because you can use time to make money, or you can use time to be with your family or do your hobbies, and it's not as quantifiable as how much is in your bank account or how much you're able to, you know, gain in a business deal or whatever. I think time to me has always been what I try to focus on, like what do I want to be doing with it and what am I going to be doing with it, and then trying to find the motivation to do those things.
I can actually agree with that for sure. Have you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No, but I've heard of it.
You should read it. It's about time and like obviously it's about money and stuff, but like your time is so valuable. And that's something, again, I realized with my cat that passed away, that whole issue. I was like, wow, like thinking of all the time that we spent together and like those memories, and like for the kids, it's like they're not going to remember toys you bought for them or like whatever. Like they're going to remember the memories you made and the time you spent with them. So I wish I could spend all the time in the world with them, but like unfortunately, there's like reality of like I can't. And sometimes, well, most of the time, I actually need breaks. So like,
I was just gonna say that.
I'm not gonna like pretend I'm perfect. Like, there's definitely times where I'm pulling my hair out. But like, other than that, you know, I want them just to remember like a happy, you know, childhood.
I think that is a very good thing to say publicly, which is it is very difficult to be a mother, a father, and to be there. All the time when you have your own stuff going on. And I think in any relationships with people, you need sometimes some separation, a little bit of a break. It just makes you appreciate them more, in my opinion, because if you are away from working or traveling or whatever the case may be. So I agree with you. And I think it's good to be more transparent about that than, you know, putting up a front that I'm, you know, this perfect whatever. You know, I agree with you. I agree
absolutely.
With you.
Because nowadays, too, you say the wrong thing. It's like...
people,
I feel like freak out.
Definitely on certain subjects. Politics, people can always quickly. Religion is another one where people can quickly have a different opinion. Or, you know, when we were talking about what gender your cat was, you know, that's a very, very touchy subject for some. But I, on that note, I do I want everybody to think and feel and do whatever they want. Doesn't matter. I think where I sometimes have a problem with it is when people assume that I know what you want to be called, or in circumstances that's happened to me where I'm like, I don't, you got to tell me. If you tell me, then I'll call you whatever you want. But, I more lean along the lines of, I think people should be able to do whatever they want to do.
Absolutely.
But I also don't necessarily believe in trying to convert people towards things, whether that's religion or politics as well. If people want to hear your opinion, I think that's perfect. But some people are very adamant to give you their thoughts and feelings on things, and then question why you don't think those same ways, even after they explained it to you. So I'm with you. It's an interesting climate as I get older here, for sure.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, actually, and I have nothing against gay people. Just so you know, my stepson is gay, so no issues. But it's interesting how the podcast was saying this generation, the times we're in now, has been the highest rate of gay children and trans children, which is interesting.
No.
And they can be not all gay people. So if anyone's gay, don't. Yes. I'm not judging, but it is just interesting that there's Pride Month, Gay Month, whatever. And it's in your face, and that's cool. But then it's okay, well, what about Straight Month? What about Successful People Month? What about people who work at McDonald's month? Whatever, celebrating all of us, because I feel some people almost try to almost shove it in your face, and it's I don't know, I'm trying to find the right words. But.
And it's, I see you dancing around it because it is something that can be offensive to people.
Yeah, I don't mean it offensive
of course
at all.
not. But I think it is important, and part of the reason why I like to do this is because you should be able to talk about the rise in whether it's transgender or homosexuality, or the rise in anything for that matter. If what's wrong, it seems to me that freedom of speech means you should be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? But I would agree with you. I mean, when I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, when I was 9 or when I was 11, I don't know if I even knew a single gay person. Yeah. Maybe I did, and I just didn't know about it. The concept of it probably by 11, but never transgender. My 9-year-old saw a girl in a park, and she came and got me. She said, "Hey, do you know what that girl is?" And I said, "No." She goes, "She's a furry."
A furry?
What's
that?
A furry is an individual that identifies as an animal of some kind.
Oh my gosh.
And again, if people want to identify as an animal, whatever you want to do is perfectly acceptable.
You don't find that a little weird? How do you're biologically, we're not animals, we're humans. I don't know. That's just
well, humans are an animal.
That part bugs me. Okay, you're not a cat.
Yes. So, and this girl was probably within the range of 9 to 11, in that range.
Wait, the furry one?
Furry girl. Yeah. So all she had on was ears and a tail. But this goes really far. There's companies that have been sued because. Okay, there's things companies have to do called reasonable accommodations, right? It came around mostly for ADA. If you're in a wheelchair, you have to be reasonably accommodable to certain individuals that are in protected classes, right? Well, there are companies that have been sued by furries because they want a litter box to be able to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
See,
and that's within the last 5 years.
But think about it. You're 9 years old, right?
Yes.
For me, I loved cats. I still love cats, right? Yeah. But if I'm 9 and someone says that I can be a cat, or I'm a little girl, cool, I'm a cat now.
I'm a cat now, yeah.
But the thing is, I feel it's on the adults to be hey, you're not, educate them. You can play pretend, but you're... biologically, you're not a cat. Yes. I'm sorry. That's one that I do have an issue with.
I agree.
You're just not. And that's okay. You can play.
We don't let children under a certain age smoke cigarettes, vote, be able to buy alcohol. But now, and again, nothing against this. I have some opinions, but now we have children changing their gender before puberty.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's just crazy.
I agree. I do wonder why so many people think now, it seems like more than ever, that they're the wrong gender, the wrong whatever. They want what has changed, and there's some theories on that.
I was thinking that too, and I don't know if, like I said earlier, social media plays into it, because it's almost I don't want to say trend, because there are really some people that feel that inside, and they are trans, and like I said, nothing against them, but that's a real thing, I believe. But it's become so norm and cool too. There's literally gay clubs at schools and stuff, which is awesome because they support that, but also it's almost I just feel if you're under 18, just enjoy being a kid, exploring who you are. Yes. You don't have to make any crazy decisions then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially one that's going to alter you for the rest of your life. Yes. That's where I'm like, wait a second. And then if you look at how much doctors and individuals are making on these kind of surgeries and things like that, it's like, I go down some rabbit trails sometimes when I, and by myself at night, I want to research and stuff. But but I do. And I think it's weird because especially with children, there's this thought of wanting to shield children, protect them, and I understand that thought. Dang, they're very, very malleable
like sponges,
early on.
They absorb everything.
Exactly.
Well, in that same note, my son watches Disney all the time. He's obsessed with Mickey and all that. Yeah. I'm looking through his Disney account, and I realize there's a Pride section. Which, like I said, nothing against that, but my son's 3. Yeah. He doesn't need to be thinking about any of that. Yeah. That's crazy to me.
I try to put myself in the other shoes because if you are gay or it's transgender and you don't feel like you can be yourself, that would suck too.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But to me, it seems to be like at a certain age, you should explore whether it's hormone altering, surgical, things like that, because there's a lot of stuff people don't talk about that seems to be rising and people thinking that was a bad decision later in their life. I have a hard time thinking about the future now. Yeah. I definitely wasn't thinking about what I'm doing today as it's going to impact me in the future when I was a child.
Oh, yeah. No many tattoos I have that I got underage. I'm now, what was I thinking?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Why did I do that? And now they're on me for life. Yeah. So that's the only way I can totally identify with that.
Well, that used to be what parents worried about. Oh, they're going to run off and get tattoos or piercings or things. And that's what you did. Yeah.
My friend who was in his basement, I was 13. This is my first one. Actually, I think it was 13.
You got a basement tattoo when you were 13?
I got a couple.
Wow. A couple basement
and now
tattoos.
I regret those though. Yeah.
Do you? It's kind of a good story.
There's some on me. They're bigger that I'm like, what?
Your legend is growing, Gina. The more we talk, you got basement tattoos at 13.
Basement tattoos.
Nice.
Are you even doing life if you're not doing that? No, I'm just kidding.
I guess I missed out. I waited till I was 20, 21. Yeah. I'm going to go back. I didn't think I was even in a basement. I'm from Florida.
Well,
where do you find a basement?
Technically not basement. It was a dingy, dark room with covers over the window. It looked like a basement, but it wasn't a basement.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But the things you used to worry about back then were different, and I think that's why I spend time thinking about these things, and probably yourself as well, is because your kids are younger. Three to what? 3 is that your youngest?
I have a 3-year-old, and then my 2 stepchildren are 13 and 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is a big difference.
Yeah, a whole different dynamic there, thinking about teenagers in today's day and age. And they're all boys, you said?
All boys, yes.
The girls, my daughter, 9, I do worry. The thing that you said is comparing yourself to others, and then secondly, caring what people think of you.
Yeah,
I think you should care what some people think of you, but the majority of people, I don't think you should care at all what they think about you.
I agree, and I feel like when I was younger, I never cared about what anyone thought, and then as I've aged, I don't know. I actually realized I do care, which I need to work on. Yeah, but if I'm honest with myself, I for the most part care. There's some things I'm I don't really care, but. I don't know. I think appearance-wise and comparing to other Instagram models, I don't know. It's just there's more pressure.
Yeah, it's in your face so much more now too.
Yes, 100%. So, but that's on me, and I know that's something I need to, work on, and I'm trying.
Yeah, but I think that's part of life, right? Yeah. Learning, trying, growing, changing, falling back, trying to learn again.
But it's different now, like I said, in today's society. Does your wife work?
Yeah.
What does she do?
She took, we were pretty fortunate that, when I was working in my previous company, when we first had kids, we wanted to have them close. So we had them 2 close together, 2 years apart. She didn't work till they were both in elementary. So she got to be there for, pretty much everything up until my son was in 2nd grade and my daughter started kindergarten. So she took about 5 or 6 years off. She was a personal trainer before that.
Cool.
Like Group X, YMCA. She worked there for many years, worked at different studios around Orlando. And then now she works for a medical marijuana company, which is cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then she works for a concrete company now as well. She's working 2 remote jobs. I don't know if I should have said that out loud. But
sorry. We can edit it out.
True. I don't edit much out of these. But she's working 2 remote jobs for 2 different companies. So gets to be at home, very flexible. flexible, those kind of things.
That's
But
awesome.
she wanted to go back to work. Could we have gone longer? Yes. Could we have done different things? But I think it got to a point for her where she wanted something else. The kids are older; they're doing their own thing now, and it was good. It's been nice having more income coming back in. I'll give it that much. But
yeah. Like when I was pregnant, I didn't work for like a little over a year. But what I found for us is like, I guess it made me realize too, like, okay, I am very independent and I don't like asking people for money. Even if it's my husband, he's my best friend, my partner, whatever. But like having him control the money part, it just, it created tension for us. Wow. We obviously didn't have more of it like we do now. And it's just like, it made me realize like, oh my God, I need to work and be independent. And like, I get
that too. I don't think I would want to, rely on somebody. But the homemakers, right? They did, right? They relied on men to make the money, and that was the acceptable norm. Yeah. But it's an interesting dynamic nowadays, for sure. Yeah. And again, I think we sat down and made that decision. Was it a sacrifice on both fronts? She'd leave her career, I stay in mine. And raise the kids. And it's been the best decision I think we made, for sure.
Absolutely.
It was hard for her in certain circumstances, especially my last company. I was traveling, I was gone all the time, chasing money, chasing promotions, chasing different things. So, but I learned quickly that this is not a winnable strategy for me. I was missing too much, and it was like I knew I would regret that. And one of the things I don't want to have if I get to be an 80-year-old man is I don't want to sit back and be like, oh, I wish I would have been there. I wish I wouldn't have missed this father-daughter dance or this football game or whatever they're into. So,
that's awesome. I wanted to ask you because I heard about the chicken eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you live on a farm or like what? Can you talk to me about that? Because that sounds interesting.
Sure. So a few years back, probably 4 years ago, we downsized from like almost a 4,000 square foot house down to like a 1,200 square foot house on a little piece of property out in the woods. I
love that.
I have this love-hate for stuff, especially in the industry I'm in now. But it just, when you have a big house, you fill it with so many things. It's harder to maintain. And it's just like, I wanted to get away, not to a tiny house, but something smaller.
Yeah.
So we moved out to the woods and then, started to be a little more self-sufficient. COVID really changed that for me. Is like, you take for granted that you can go to a grocery store and food will be there, right? And when you got mouths to feed, I'm like, man, I'd love to be able to have something that and again, I'm not like prepping for doomsday or whatever, but if something does go wrong, So we have like usually between 30 to 50 chickens at any time.
That's so cool.
They are all named, so we don't eat them. Don't ask me their names. My kids and my wife would rattle them all out. But when one goes, 5 more come. That's chicken math. It's unfortunate. So I've built multiple chicken pens for them.
That is so cool.
But the eggs is a good resource to have. We eat tons of eggs. And then give some away, sell some too. She trades a lot for plants, so we get a lot of fruit trees and vegetables that way in the community. And then we have a pig now. Yes, Elvis is his name.
How cute.
He's not small anymore. He grew really fast. He thinks he's a dog, which is interesting. And the dog thinks she's a pig because we have a dog too. So it's pretty.
That's epic.
It's a regular farm over there. Yeah. And then what else do we have? An African spur tortoise.
Wow.
Have you ever seen one of these things?
No.
Yeah. They can live like 200 years. So you have to will them to your great grandchildren.
No. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So ours is probably this big now, and he'll need a bigger home eventually. So we got a regular little farm over there.
You got a lot going on.
Always. Yeah.
So do you guys eat like all organic, like from your farm, or like what?
We eat a lot of eggs. We grow some vegetables certain times of the year, and then we have fruit trees now too. From a personal standpoint, I think there's something to eating organic, whether you're purchasing organic things.
Yeah.
That's sort of where that research is. Some people make, and again, I'm not a scientist or a doctor or anything, just put that out there. But some people are making the correlation that the rise in transgenders and people's, confusion with stuff could be more diet and lifestyle related. there's more plastic that we are consuming on a regular basis now. There's a lot of, I think her name is Dr. Shanna Swan, that wrote a book on this about microplastics, that each American has a credit card size amount of plastic in their body at all times.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was an interesting one. And then there's a chemical that they spray, and this goes deep, so bear with me.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
A chemical that they spray for mostly pesticides that has something in it that has changed the gender in a test environment of other animals.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, and then they spray it all over the food that we consume.
Dang, that's crazy.
It's an argument, and again, I don't know. You don't know what to believe on the internet or what people say.
So many conspiracies, but I will say, regardless, I mean, I feel like it's evident that our food has changed.
Yeah,
like the disease rates have gone way up. Just all the stuff they spray in it, like you were saying.
Yeah, but also food became not just a way of survival, a way for companies to make massive amounts of money. So then
it's like medicine.
Anywhere that there's massive amounts of money, they're going to cut the corners that they can to be able to make their products the most likely to be repurchased, right? So that's where like processed food comes into play, you know, and those kind of things. And then, the arguments of, is that increasing cancer and Alzheimer's and all the major diseases that we deal with? And
I believe it is.
I think so.
I've been trying to eat organic and all that. It's been so challenging. Like I'll do it for a week, and then I'm like thinking and I'm an overthinker, and I love to do research here, but I'm like, it says organic. Is it really organic? Like, or what does gluten-free mean? Like, I don't know. Like, there's so much to it that it's sometimes a little overwhelming.
Do you feel better if you go a full week, eating organic? Do you notice anything different, or?
Honestly, not really.
Okay,
if I'm being honest, like I feel the same. I don't think I've given it. There's 1 month I did, like it was like a full 30 days to where I just ate. I got this book. It was called like Plant Over Processed. And I ate just all plant-based foods. I'm not going to lie, it sucked so bad, but I felt amazing after, because I was dealing with some health issues. And after 30 days, I was like, wow, like my health issues were gone. I felt a lot better. And then it was like my birthday came, and they're like, just get a cake, whatever. I had one bite of that chocolate cake. And I was like, oh my God, I miss like the taste is so good. And then like I would slowly start cheating, and now I'm just like not doing it like I was. But that definitely made me feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a comfort in food and the availability of food and having a pantry full of whatever. And then I think we'll look back on someday and realize where we messed up is sugar. The amount of sugar that Americans consume is much higher than most of the other countries. It's in everything, and then you look at like diabetes and obviously those kind of things, but also, at an early age, you're consuming, I forget the stats exactly, but by 10, you've eaten more sugar than if you go back 30 years ago, people ate like in their lifetime.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Sugar's the one they tell you. And then, the processed food, right? And again, they're doing it because it makes it cheaper. If things don't last as long, people have to buy them more frequently, and there's reasons why things, have shelf lives and stuff. Do you know Laird Hamilton?
Of course.
Yeah. He said something that I heard years ago that struck with me, how he eats his diet, plants and animals. To me, it makes the most sense. People argue how long humans have been around, right? But for the history up until maybe the last 200 years, we've been eating plants and animals.
Yeah, but the other thing is it's all sprayed now, or like they put all they inject the animals with stuff, and like, so how do you know if something is organic or not? Or
I think unless
you live on a farm like you.
That's the only real way is.
And it's like for someone like me, we can't. We live in a condo on the beach. Like we can't have a farm.
Yeah, but you can find local farmers. There's a couple people in Palm Bay.
Really?
There's huge cattle ranches where and they're prideful in the fact that they are not injecting them with antibiotics. Their chickens are, raised in an environment that's not, just for them to produce eggs, because the eggs you buy in a store, they're white, they're bleached.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
An egg out of a chicken does not look like that at all.
That's crazy.
It's brown, some are blue. They can be all kinds of different colors. So,
Also, another thing I wanted to mention, when I lived out in California, there were so many like plant-based meals that were like really available, like McDonald's, for example.
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm on the go, or like, you get them surfing. I just want a quick, bite to eat. And there were so many drive-thrus that were plant-based and healthy, and I would just eat so good out there. And it was easy. It wasn't expensive.
Yeah. California was on that quick. Here.
There's nowhere like that here. Yeah. There's one vegan restaurant, or I think like 1.5 that are close by, but like, that's about it. Like everything else is junk. So it's harder.
Vegans are some of those. Are you a vegan?
Like I said, I've tried.
I don't want to offend.
I know you're not. Yeah, I've tried. It's but also because I'm so skinny. That's another thing. Like I start feeling like I don't know, lightheaded, and like So I think it's awesome. I love the idea of like saving the animals and like eating healthy. Yeah. It's never worked for me so far. But I think it's cool if you can do it.
Yeah, I get it twofold, right? I understand, you don't want factory farming. You don't want animals to be, treated poorly just for the fact of feeding us all, right?
Yeah.
But it does seem, the thing I struggle with is when they think that we shouldn't be eating them, or maybe they're not there for that reason. It seems pretty evident that in all the animal communities that they do eat other plants and animals. There are animals that only eat plants. There's a couple that only eat meat. That was more dinosaurs, I suppose. But some vegans get real into trying to convert people or making you feel shameful because I like to eat a steak.
Absolutely. Yes, I would never be like that. But I understand what you're saying. It's like they want to, and I can get if that's their true belief. Like, awesome, good for you. Like, I see how cool that would be. But trying to change everybody else around you, like, I also don't think one diet is perfect for everybody. Like, definitely we all are different. We're built differently. We have different genetics, like different diseases, whatever. Like, what may work for one person isn't necessarily good for another person.
100%. And that's where sometimes, I don't know, there was a recent example I can think of that's another touchy subject, where there was this one cure-all for everybody, whether it was...
what was the cure-all? I'm curious. I don't know. There's a lot...
Yeah.
A lot going on nowadays. Yes. And it's only getting worse.
But it's kind of back to how we started this. It's almost more important to focus on the things that are important to you, because, man, wouldn't it suck to wake up tomorrow and be diagnosed with cancer, or... to have a child that's disabled, like that aspect of your life changes, everything, so I feel sometimes fortunate, and that I should be more in tune to, my hobbies and what I'm interested in and what they're interested in, because some people don't have that luxury.
Yeah. Just being in the present moment is so important.
Yes. For the history of humans, I say this a lot too, that is what they have tried to figure out, is how to be present in what you're doing. That's the story of a lot of religions. That's the story of a lot of things, That's the definition of anxiety and depression. A guy that came on, his name's Adam Lowry. He has a PhD in psychology. He explained it the best to me, is anxiety lives in the future and depression lives in the past. If you're depressed, you're usually thinking about something that happened to you, or something, could be usually led to something from the past. If you're anxious about something that's coming up or something that you have to do, right? I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. But that goes back to trying to figure out how to live presently and be there, and that is a daily struggle, I find.
Yeah. Well, I know your podcast is about like surfing stuff. So on that note, I feel like surfing for me has been like the biggest meditation, and that helps keep me present. What's challenging, like I was saying earlier, is now that I'm a mom of 3, having a business stuff, like I used to surf like all day, like I'd wake up, go surf, go get some food. Oh, it's lunchtime, go surf. Okay, now we're gonna do an evening sash, and like I would just surf around the clock, and like, and I was just chilling, like, hey, what's up, man? Like I was just like surf stone, like pretty much.
Nice.
And that was the life, but like now it's like reality, and it's like, okay, I can't just like wake up and go surf. I have to take my kids to school and like work and like do all these things. And, like I don't have the time. So like, okay, staying present, when I can't surf as much has been like a learning curve. It's been difficult. There's other ways, like, meditation and all that, but like that's the thing I miss so much, is just surfing every single day.
The way I describe that, and I say the same thing about surfing, is there's 2 things I really love about it. Is your cell phone is not out there. So instantly your ability to not be in the present is gone. And also in heavier days or certain situations, if you're thinking about other things, you could literally be in danger. So you have to be focused on exactly what you're doing. And there's a few things in my life that I do just for that aspect. And surfing is one of them. It's one of the only things, to your point, that brings you back and focuses you to be right there and present. So you just got to find ways to. I get in at like 6 a.m.
The thing is, okay, so our baby or our toddler sleeps in our bed.
Okay.
We've been trying to break the habit, but it's so far hasn't worked.
That's a tough one, right?
So my husband leaves at 5:30 a.m. to go to work.
What does he do?
He does AC.
Okay. Yeah.
So
good business.
He also helps, with the company and stuff when he can. Nice. But like he's gone a lot. So he's already out the door. I'm like, I can't leave. Unless, I guess, I wake up at like 4 or something, but I think that is too much for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to leave my baby. Like, and then even if I like get up to go to the bathroom or whatever, like he senses me. It's like, you ever see Hey Hey from Moana?
Yes, the chicken. Yeah.
I just start screaming. I'm like, I'm just going to the bathroom. Like he is
right back. Yes.
Very attached.
Nice.
So it's like, getting that time, unless the good thing about being an entrepreneur, like if the waves are pumping, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the day off or take a half day and go surf.
Nice.
But like every single day, my business would be so behind. I couldn't live like that anymore.
That is the ultimate balance of surfing is how much time should I be spending on it and what is it taking away from? What am I gaining from it? But what is the amount of time and energy I'm putting into it taking away from, for sure.
Yeah.
But as your kids get older,
they'll be able,
maybe he'll be out there with you. Finn will be right out there with you.
Yeah, like on the weekends, I take him out with me and stuff. If it's too heavy, obviously he gets scared. Right. So like I can't, whatever. Yeah. We'll take turns.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely we're in the middle of teaching him all that right now.
Nice.
So it's
Can
been
he swim?
fun.
Can the 3-year-old?
Yes and no. Like he can hold his breath, but like if I were to just throw him in the pool, like you guys were saying with that newborn, he would drown. So we're trying to get him swim lessons. It's just been something I got to get around to.
Yeah, it's there's always things we should be getting around to, and that back to what I said, time is your most valuable. But then, like I feel like if I try to plan everything like down to the like super schedule oriented, then I'm not having as much fun. I feel like because I'm so stuck trying to stick to my schedule.
Absolutely,
it's an interesting balance. What kind of boards you riding? What are you riding?
Oh gosh, we have a lot of boards.
Yeah.
When I was like younger, I used to just only ride short boards.
Okay.
Like, that was my thing because I loved like speed.
Yeah. Like and then, regular thrusters, 3-fin setups.
Pretty much, anything shortboard. Like usually tri-fin. Like that's what I used to ride. Yeah. But do you know Alan White?
No.
He's a local shaper, but he used to build a lot of my boards. Cool. Build me custom boards. So when I had my magazine,
what is like Alan White Designs, or what's the name of the company?
Just Alan White Surfboards.
Okay, yeah. I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, he's awesome. But when I had that magazine, we would do a lot of like trading and like he would design boards for me, and then I would like do articles for him. So it was kind of like a win-win, you know?
Heck yeah.
And he's a great shaper.
Nice.
Same with Ricky Carroll.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he was in the magazine too, but.
He's been making boards for forever.
I know. Now I actually have it's a twin fin. It's from Rob Machado. I think I told you I won that board a long time ago.
Which one was it? You told me, but I forgot. Do you know which twin fin? Is it the Go Fish or the Two Fish?
I don't know the exact name.
But it's a twin fin Rob Machado shape.
And it is friggin' epic.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger than like what I'm used to, but it's still very light to where I can maneuver. But as I'm aging, like I'm like, because we have so many like small days too, or like choppy whatever. I'm like, I just kind of want a longboard, like go out,
cruise and glide,
like in Cali, like the waves. Have you surfed out there at all?
Yeah.
The waves are like a lot bigger and better for the most part. So for the most part,
yes.
Just speaking from someone who lived there for a little while, like every day you could go out and there's waves.
Yeah, and definitely more consistent. I would say,
So like then coming back here, I'm like, God, like I kind of just want to like a long board to just go out and like whatever. I never thought because I was very not against them, but just could never ride them. Like
okay,
and now it's like I see the longboard thing.
Yeah.
It's chill. It's fun. What do you ride?
So I can get what you're saying about. Growing up, it was all 3-fins, all thrusters. You wanted to surf like the pros you watch, or like Kelly or whatever, and then. At a certain point, go for it. At a certain point, you realize, maybe you're not as skillful as some of these individuals.
Maybe we're getting old.
Or you're getting older, right? Or you don't spend as much time, or the wave selection that we have is not as good for those boards all the time, right? I've always pretty much kept the thruster around until probably 8 years ago. I am pretty much primarily on twin fins. So I ride, I am a huge fan. I'm trying to convert a buddy of mine to twin fins now too. He's a little bit older, but I'm trying to convert him to them, but
Sorry, I'm like choking.
You're okay. Yeah.
When it goes down the wrong
Yes.
Of course, on your podcast, that would happen.
It's no problem.
It's just my luck.
But yeah, so I have 2 twin fins. I have a 6'1", and then I have
awesome.
a 5'8". Firewire. I pretty much, which
cool.
is Rob's.
Yeah.
I bought almost every single board he's made. He's one of my favorite surfers, just
Me
because
too.
his style. I love
style. I love.
Yeah.
I mean, I would see him out like surfing, like in person. Like
Nice.
this is crazy.
Yeah,
like
nice.
just how he surfs.
Yeah.
He's my all-time favorite surfer.
He's up there for me,
Yeah.
and even when he competed, it was cool to see him compete, but
Yeah.
it really changed when he more like a free surfer style, the board didn't need to look like your traditional three fin, but he was probably the one that got me on twin fins, and I've never left them since.
Yeah.
Just the speed of them. So I wear sometimes when the waves are good, I wear a watch that tracks like your wave count, how much you're paddling and stuff. Pretty cool if you like data and those kind of things.
Yeah.
But the thing I like is it tracks your speed. And I can hit like
sick.
15 or 16 miles an hour, which
Dang.
if people hear that like, oh, and you think in a car, that's not fast. But if you're on like an electric scooter and you're going 15 miles an hour, it feels like you're hauling. So on a surfboard, I like them for speed, and then there's the type of turns you can do. But over the last probably 3 years now, I did add the mid-length in, the 7.0. So I have a 7.0 Firewire.
That's what I was thinking, like something like 6 or 7 foot, like between those ranges. Because for me, I'm tiny, so that's a long board for me.
Oh my God, for real. Yeah, the glide you would have on a 7.0.
Yeah.
If you don't have any, you can try some of mine whenever you want. But
Well, my husband has a lot of like bigger boards. They're just they're almost, I don't even know how long, but they're just too overwhelming
Sure.
where it's like, I don't know, I get anxious, like it's gonna, because every time I've done something like that, it would like come back and hit me in the face or something, and I'm like, it freaks me out. So I guess I'm just slowly kind of like trying to inch my way up a little, but not to where it's too overwhelming. I don't know.
Yeah, the smallest board I ride is a 5'8". My son rides that the mostly now. He's pretty much taken over that one. That's like my good wave board.
Yeah.
But also when it gets big, like, I mean, in a couple of days, it'll be 2 foot overhead because of that storm out there right now.
Oh, really?
I know
I gotta surf.
when people say there's no waves in Florida, like we're literally going to have waves for days right now because of Ernesto. Yes.
Dang, now I have to schedule. You said in 2 days?
I would say between Friday to Tuesday, there will be all kinds of waves.
Oh, awesome.
Sunday is going to be the day we're shooting for. My son's got a football game on Saturday, so we're going to miss surfing Saturday. But Sunday we'll be surfing.
Nice.
Yeah, so 7.0s are good. I did the soft tops. I got a couple soft tops too, which are
that's
fun.
why I wanted to get some soft tops because we're teaching Finn, and it's like, we don't have any soft tops, so I get nervous about him falling.
That was how I taught all my kids, ride together at first, push them into it. But big boards, I find kids, when you're teaching them, they nosedive them a lot because their weight is a little bit off. They haven't learned that aspect yet. So pushing them in on shorter soft boards was almost better to learn. I got pictures of my kids when they're like 3-4 years old, like, charging the line on soft tops. Yeah, both of them.
That's epic.
Yeah, we had them in early.
Now, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's better for you to teach your kids or somebody else?
Surfing, I think it was better for me gradually to teach them. I think other sports, team sports specifically, I never liked that dynamic. I don't want to be the coach of their team.
Right.
I don't want them to see me interacting even in teaching other kids things as well. I think there's an interesting dynamic between parents that are coaches of their children. My son's very competitive in football, but even in like soccer and stuff like that, I think I coached one season of his soccer team, and I would never do it again. Yeah.
I get that. Like with our little one, like sometimes he freaks out, especially when it's bigger, which I understand, but like I'm the type of, I know it sounds terrible, but I'm like, get in there, like just do it. Yeah. And then my husband, because he's already done this twice, he's like, I really feel like we should have somebody else come in, and just because you're the mom and like it's different when you're a parent. I haven't done that yet, but like, because I'm like, well, I know how to surf, and like, I'm just going to teach him. But like, I get sometimes, I guess, too forceful with it.
Well, because you want it too, right? You want him to learn it.
I'm like, just paddle out. Come on, let's go.
You'll figure it out. You'll be
fine. The
fine.
faster you do this, the faster I can surf. So it's a win-win.
That's back to that selfish piece.
Exactly.
Yes.
I know it's terrible, but I'm like, just paying for surf lessons when I can do it. I don't know. That's why I was curious.
I get that thought, though. You're exactly right. Where there's sometimes some resistance to what you're trying to teach them, or some additional pushback that comes because of your relationship.
Right.
You're the parental figure. But yeah, I think my daughter tried to learn some music, playing guitar, and she's more into singing now, which is cool. I think that better suits her. But I think there's some things you want to teach them, some things you just teach them as they go, for sure. Yeah. But we've always been going to the beach. They were swimming at 2 and then both surfing pretty comfortably by 4.
That's awesome.
My daughter doesn't handle all over. I mean, we've surfed. I've surfed from Jacksonville to South Beach and everywhere in between. My son has been almost all those places too. Primarily we go like Tables, which is South Cocoa Beach. We'll do Lori Wilson sometimes too. We go up to Ponce Inlet. Not so much New Smyrna anymore. I just know too many people that got bit by sharks. There's a fun wave. It's certainly a fun wave, but we kind of avoid that one just because of all the shark bites, for sure.
I have a funny story about New Smyrna. You want to hear it? Yeah. This was a while back, but my friend and I drove out there. You can like drive on the beach. Mm-hmm. So we're driving on the beach, and everybody is standing just on the beach, and there's nobody, and the waves are pumping. Nobody's in the water. I'm like, what the fuck? The lifeguards were saying, I guess because there had been lightning or some kind of storm, nobody was legally, I guess, allowed in the water.
Wow.
And I'm looking, I'm like, nobody's on these waves. I'm going to paddle. I don't know about you, but I'm paddling out. He's like, well, you're going to get arrested. I'm like, arrest me for surfing. That's awesome. Mind you, I wasn't a mom, so things are different. Yeah. So I paddle out, and then I look behind, and everyone goes, woo! And they all just start charging, and the lifeguards they couldn't do anything, really. They're like, too many people. Yeah. They just shook their heads, whatever. But it was an awesome session. And they were like, since you're the one who broke this, you can get, they just kept giving me priority. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take it.
Nice. Yeah.
Every time someone says New Smyrna, I just think of that memory.
Remember that moment? Yeah.
It was fun.
Nice. Yeah, it's great up there. I mean,
it is.
It's a
lot of shark attack.
I took my son surfing there one time. He was probably 6, and I was pushing him in still. I still push him in at 11. Some waves he likes to get to the point where he's like, I don't want you to push me. I'm going to go catch you. I'm like, okay, Mr. Cool Guy. But it is helpful to have somebody push you. I wish somebody could push me still.
Right?
But I had him up there once, and I was pushing him into one. We only had one board out there, so I'm standing on the sandbar and pushed him in. And as soon as he stands up, I'm just watching him cruise. There's a black tip in between me and him. I'm like, shit.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm standing here, hoping he, just cruises on. Obviously, I don't think sharks want to attack you. I think it's more of an accident or a reaction more than anything. I don't think they're out there trying to attack us. I don't have that feeling. But that one was a little much, and I just never took them back. I'm like, that was a little too close. But even last weekend, we were surfing down at Tables. We probably saw 50 sharks. I mean, you see them all the time.
Our honeymoon, my husband and I's honeymoon, we just went on. We went to Bimini. And they had a swim with the sharks experience.
Nice.
And it was so cool. Yeah. So I guess I didn't know what to expect, but we pulled up on this boat, and they all you're in the middle of the ocean, it's just wild sharks. They all just pull up to the boat. So the people that own that company, they feed the sharks after the humans get back in the boat.
Okay.
So it was a bunch of sharks just corralling, and I'm like, dang, this is crazy. I don't know. I've never swam with sharks out in the open like that. Obviously surfing, you see them and stuff, but just put on goggles and swim around them was so, I don't know. It was a beautiful experience, and you realize they really don't want to hurt us. It's just a mistake. They think we're prey or a turtle or whatever. Yeah. And if you're moving around, because I said don't move around, just swim calmly. If you feel sick, don't puke in the water.
That'll rile them up.
Yeah, they'll eat
chum,
it.
Chum in the water. Yeah.
So just stay calm, and we all stayed calm, and it was just such a beautiful, amazing experience.
Nice. Yeah. I've only ever seen them, surfing, and then underwater with snorkels and masks and stuff in the Keys. Yeah, seen them down there. But they really, that's a number one question. One of the top questions I get is aren't you afraid of sharks out there? I'm like, I think if you say you're not, I mean, you're probably not telling the truth. You probably think about them some, but I've accepted that it's their ocean. I mean, it's their home. They live there. I'm just hanging out in it.
Exactly.
So I'm not even really built for
I always
this.
said that. Like if a shark were to come on land,
why
would they be surprised to see humans?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, you saw a human?
Yes.
Well, we live here. That's their home, It was like when I used to give surf lessons back in the day. Because I gave them every day, all day, and I would feel them a lot bump into me.
Sure.
And you can feel this big, like, sandpaper kind of thing. And I would just stay calm, and nothing ever happened for me. But, like, it still was in the back of my mind, you have to really just stay calm.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
The ones the thing I fear more in the ocean is Crocs.
Oh, yeah. That freaks me out. Like I would never want to see one, touch one.
Yeah. The first time I went to Costa Rica, I was surfing this river mouth down there. It was this huge left. It was this massive left.
Nice.
And then, but you paddled out in the mouth of the river. It was like a little bit of a point break, so you didn't have to obviously duck dive as much. So you're paddling out here, you catch the wave, and then you come back. But like the week before I got there, some American got eaten by saltwater crocs because they love to come in and out of that river mouth. That's where they enter and access. So those I think about more. And then now there's videos of them in Sebastian. Yeah, saltwater crocs coming out the inlet in Sebastian now.
Okay, I'm not going there ever. That is my biggest fear, the crocodiles.
Yeah.
I'm like,
have you ever been to the Juneau Pier?
No, I don't think I have.
I'm gonna pull up this video that this lady just got.
Raw Surf. That's my friend.
Oh yeah,
he came with me to what's it called? David. He came with me to New Smyrna, and he was with me when that whole thing happened.
Yeah, him and I are going back and forth about doing this. Yeah, he's gonna come on here.
Tell him Gina says hello.
Well, he'll have to see you on here.
That's hilarious.
What was I looking up? Oh, saltwater croc. Yeah. This was one, I've surfed this pier many times. Look at this thing. Oh, God. I'm going to get an ad here, of course. Pause. I'm trying to pull a video to show Gina. Dead mics. We're getting an ad.
Of course.
Yeah. But this one scared the crap out of me because, like I said, I've been here multiple times. All right. Can't skip the ad. Gonna have to roll all the way through. Dead mics, yes. But yeah, Crocs are what I think about more than anything.
My gosh. Look at that. Oh, hell no. See, that freaks me out. Yeah.
Just cruise right off the beach.
Because they don't even accidentally nip you or something. They will pull you under and just devour you.
Yeah. I always told people, because I spent a lot of time in lakes. I used to do a lot of wake skating. Are you familiar with wake skating?
I've never done it myself, but I know that
it's like skateboarding on water. People it's basically a wakeboard without the bindings, a little bit smaller, and you put grip tape on them. So then you do all skateboard tricks like kick flips and shove-its and stuff like that. So I used to do a lot of that.
That's cool.
But that was always more of a concern is alligators than I've ever been concerned of sharks, for sure. But they normally don't want anything to do with you either, unless they've been fed by humans.
That's true.
And then they become a problem.
Yeah, my parents live on a lake, and growing up, you'd always hear horror stories they ate the dog or this old lady or whatever, and it's
ate an old lady.
Yeah, 100%. It's happened a lot.
That's a horror story
because they're kind of elderly, so to run away or whatever, they just
not gonna get it. Yeah,
they just come up and eat them, and it's I don't know.
I grew up on a lake, and then my grandparents grew up on the same lake too, and then there was always dogs getting taken, and you know what eats a lot of small dogs and people don't think about is otters. Otters are nasty.
Really?
I knew this old guy that shot every otter that got on his dock. And I used to be freaking out because I'm down here fishing. I don't want to get shot by this guy. But they ate his dogs or something. Yeah, so he shot every one.
That's crazy.
They look so cool, so cute, and so innocent, but they're savage.
No, that's like seals out in Cali. Seals would not eat people, but they would attack people.
Oh, for sure, they would attack people.
Yeah,
those we call them sea dogs. Those sea lions look like a big sea dog. Yeah.
They're so cute though.
Yeah, very cool. And then honestly, back to freshwater, the one that I am very fearful of is amoebas. You ever heard of those?
I've heard of that, but I forgot what. Isn't it just like a giant blob? What is
it's it's microscopic, and it has to get forcefully injected up your nose. So if you jump off a dock and you get water up your nose, or you're a kid and you're swimming around a shallow and you duck your head and you get water up your nose, there's no cure. It is a brain-eating amoeba. Yeah.
That's in
fresh water.
Okay,
yeah.
so
no salt water. Yep, lakes, ponds. They form in stagnant hot water. So if water's been sitting still for a while and it hasn't rained or it's not windy or there's not a lot of boat activity, it's common.
My gosh.
Yeah. Are you familiar with OWC? It's Orlando Water Sports Complex. It's off the Beeline past the airport. It's a big cable park.
Yeah. I've seen that.
A kid I knew died there. He
Oh my God.
So there's ramps. It's ramp up. They build a pool, and then you ramp out of it, right?
Yeah.
So the pool up that they build is just like in maybe a foot deep, and it's wrapped in plastic so the water can stay in there. But that water stays there all the time. So apparently, they think he fell into that, water shot up his nose, and then 2 days later. Yeah.
Oh my God. That is crazy.
Amoebas are the ones my kids swim in lakes. I still swim in lakes, but not when it's super hot. And I keep your nose up out of the shallow.
Yeah, see, I've never been a big lake swimmer.
No?
Or anything. I don't. It's always like not freaked me out, but because of stuff like that, and like it just always seemed like dirtier than the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm in the ocean, I feel like free and like. Yeah. Like I was saying, or like meditate, just whatever. But like lakes, I feel kind of dirty. I don't know. It's never been a thing for me.
How about the river? Do you ever go in the river?
But yes, because we had a boat, we just sold it. But like we'd always go on the weekends and like swim in the river. But I still felt like dirty. I don't know if it's because it looks dirtier or what. But like I think of snakes and those kind of things. I don't know. I don't know. I never really.
I would agree. I think the ocean feels cleaner.
It does.
There's a lot of people that live in these condos up and down here. There's this lady. My grandfather used to have a condo just south of the pier, and she used to go out and snort salt water every morning.
Oh wow!
She's like, "This is what's keeping me young." I'm like, "Okay,
That's
I'm just gonna go surfing now." Like,
although
thanks for telling me.
nowadays here it's been getting a lot dirtier, like with the pour and the dumping of everything. Like, I had a friend. He got. I don't know how to say this. He got a really bad, let's just say, infection from going out into the water.
In the ocean?
In the ocean, yeah.
Damn.
Here, like at the Cocoa Beach Pier.
Damn.
I'm talking gnarly. Put him in the hospital.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was a butt infection.
Oh my God! Is that did he get it somewhere else, and that's just what he told you?
No,
I'm joking.
As far as I know, but it's like any holes
joking.
you have, it can like
Yes.
And back in the day, that wasn't a thing, you know?
Yeah, I think probably for two reasons. Population growth to the area. They say that a lot about the rivers. There's some people that won't eat snook or redfish out of the rivers because of all the runoff from sewage into the Indian and the Banana River. But I mean, it's another sad subject. It kind of seems like sometimes humans don't necessarily fit in. We need these houses to keep us protected. We need clothes to keep us protected. It almost seems like we don't fit into this. And all of those things cause more harm. And a lot of people don't like to talk about it. But for sure, we're damaging the environment that we live in.
Absolutely.
There's islands full of plastic and trash out there.
I know, it's so sad.
It is sad, but I don't know what you do.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do about that?
Yeah. Can you even do anything? I think plastic, me and my kids talked about this the other day. Plastic will probably go down as one of the worst inventions in humans. And then the other one is stairs.
Stairs? Why stairs?
You ever seen Fail Army? It's a YouTube channel.
Sounds so familiar. It sounds very familiar.
It's all videos, and my
people
kids
falling
love
down the
these.
stairs,
falling, busting their ass, jumping from things, and smashing themselves in the nuts. Like my kids love these videos, but the amount of Ring doorbell footage of people falling on their front stairs is like you could watch it until you're dead. Of the amount of videos of people falling on stairs.
That's like my husband recently fell down our stairs. We have stairs in our house, and he fell down like it's the middle of the night, and I just heard boom, boom, and I'm cracking up because I thought it was hilarious. But he was like pissed. He's like, I really hurt. Like he hurt his toe, like really, really bad. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like, stairs can be a little dangerous.
Plastic and stairs, especially in environments which we are very fortunate, where it's like icy. Oh my God!
Yeah.
The amount of people that have to deal with that kind of shit. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
I could agree with the plastic though for sure. Like,
yeah.
It's terrible.
And it's in everything, and it doesn't go away. There's no way to make it go away.
Now it's in our bodies, apparently.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
A credit card's amount, to think about that,
That's
circulating
crazy.
around in every human. Yeah. It makes kind of sense, though. They call it microplastics. And then, so now I try, not to drink out of plastic water bottles.
I feel embarrassed.
No. I think, especially if they sit in the sun, there's something called it's usually on the bottles, like BPA free or something where they're trying to combat that now. But even the water that comes into your home is now run through PVC, which is plastic pipes. Yeah. So if you heat water in your water heater and then it comes in through your shower, that's hot water traveling through plastic that's then coming onto your skin.
So that plastic goes into your skin?
It can. I mean, again, this is the theory.
Crazy.
This is allegedly, again.
But also, it's like, at what point, because there are so many theories or even facts, like who really knows nowadays, but it's like, at what point do you like just put yourself in a bubble and like not eat or drink anything and then live? It's like,
you can't do that, right?
You know?
You can't.
It can get exhausting.
Oh my! It can bring you anxiety and depression right there.
Or
just
even like
thinking
the
about
phones.
those
Like
things.
you can't be on your phone because it's like the radiation. Like there's just so many things you find online now, and it's crazy. And not to say it's not valid, because I'm sure it is, but like. I don't know. It's like sometimes I want to live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, like just get away from society. Yeah. But I also love human interaction and like different cultures, and I do love food, and it's like I don't know.
I like the mix of both. I agree. It is nice being out in the middle of nowhere and being able to. If I want to go a week without seeing anyone, I could, other than obviously my own family. But I think if I didn't have kids, I could live in a sailboat or in the woods or whatever. And if I'm glad I have them, because that's probably where I would be.
I was going to do that right before I moved to Florida from Cali. I was like, okay, I'm either going to get a sailboat and live on that, or come to Florida. And then that's right around the time. So my husband and I have been friends for like years. Back in the day, we never saw each other like that. We were just like friends. Like we go surf or whatever. Nice. He was engaged. Like it was nothing like that. And then that obviously didn't work. But it was just really interesting timing, because I was in California, just really thinking about home and like how I missed it. And then at that same time, he reached out to me like on Instagram, like slid into my DMs. But I was like, oh, it's Nick. Like friends, like didn't think anything like that. And then we just started talking, and then I was like, oh, how's married? I thought he was married. He's like, oh no, that didn't work out. I was like, I'm sorry. And then he kept going, and I'm like, is he trying to like flirt with me? So I was like, this is getting weird. I'm like, but then all of a sudden, like we realized, hey, we actually like each other. And that kind of gave me another reason to come back here. Nice. And not do the sailboat thing. But I do want to do the sailboat thing one day, because I love that.
I'm there too. I think, and again, at the right time in life, for sure. I was not as close as you were, but I think about it for sure. I do think that it seems like something that would be fun for a few years, to try for sure.
Just travel, live on a boat. I would love that.
I get that calling of that. And also, even the people that live like in a van, and drive a nice one, I wanted to have some amenities, but we do a lot of camping. I like primitive camping, where it's like literally
awesome.
tents
Me
and
too.
stuff. Yeah.
See, okay, I lived in a van for like a couple months in the summer.
Did you
long
really?
time ago.
Yeah. So in California?
So I drove from here to California, and we just like stopped on all the states and like just hung out.
Nice.
And then we went to Cali, and have you ever heard of Kings Canyon?
No.
It's a really gorgeous like just national park, and we would like primitive camp, as you would say out there. And that's something huge that I want to instill in my boys, is like, let's go camping. But in their mind, camping is glamping.
Oh, like an RV.
We have an RV. We've got like these blow up beds. And I'm like, no. Like, I want to take you camping.
Yes.
And they're so against it.
Really?
And I'm like, okay, do I force them because I'm the parent? And I hope they'll be happy, or do I not like... Because I just think that's so important to experience.
I agree. And we do probably 3... a year for the last.
And your kids like it?
Yeah. Okay. My daughter, my son.
Did you have to force them, or they wanted to?
I think they wanted to. Yeah, I don't remember.
So
who doesn't come is my wife. She's
really.
Yeah, she does not like.
Actually, my husband, he's like, I'll go glamping, but he's like, I'm not camping.
He won't sleep on the ground.
No, I'm like, I feel like a dude. Like, I love
That's
like
hilarious.
seeing the stars and like being by the fire and roasting the marshmallows and like being outdoors. We saw like bears and all kinds of, and I know it can get dangerous, but like,
of course,
nothing hurt us. Like, I don't know. I just love that experience.
It's one of those reset moments a few times out of the year. You can't do it in the summer months in Florida.
Yeah.
But there's so many.
I've never done it in Florida.
People are like, where do you camp? I'm like, there are so many campsites. So we've done 5 or 6 different ones. Yeah. So in between here and Orlando, there's huge, like 5,000 acre state land. So a lot of camping we do is on state land. So you got to get a permit, but it's free to get the permit. And you have them to yourself, which is fantastic.
That's so cool.
It's not like there's no other, if one person, the best thing about state land is if one person is there, they don't double book it. So you're only camping with the people that you want to have out there. And you're like,
that's really cool.
One of them, this one up, it's called Buck Lake. We camped there. There's a 30-foot observation tower that looks out into the lake, so you can be in there. No, you're good. You need to get that. Are we going too long?
That's okay. I thought I put my phone on silent. Hold on.
Good.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Maybe we'll do.
You're an entrepreneur. You gotta be ready. Yeah.
Airplane mode. Let's see if that works. Okay. I have 30 more minutes.
30 more minutes. Yes. Got it. So, yes, camping's good. There's tons of spots.
Like I said, I've never done it in Florida because it's always so hot.
Yeah.
I also love the mountains.
Yeah.
So, I just love hiking and, seeing the mountains. Yeah. Although it can be dangerous because last time when I went to Kings Canyon, I was like, I'm going to go for a little walk, whatever. I told my friend, his name's Aaron. But he's like, okay. I just started walking and I got lost for a second. And I've always had such a deep respect for the ocean as a surfer because, as you know, it can get gnarly, you get held under, and but I actually realized that same kind of respect is just for all of Mother Nature, including the forest, because you know how quick you can get lost. And I'm talking I don't know, maybe it's just because me having a blonde woman, I don't know, but I was I just found a new respect for it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I think it's one of those ones that I need. I need that humbling sometimes. The ocean does that. The woods do that for sure. Especially if I'm out there with my kids, you know, in the ocean and in the woods, because it's there's even more things that could go wrong in these environments when they're out there. But I think those are one of the ones that I use literally every year to reset and stop thinking about work and technology and no phones. And I have a serious love-hate for technology, more hate than anything. But like you said earlier.
Same here, though. For me, it's even, I don't know if it's more. I can't compare. All I know is because for work, I have to do it, right?
Yep.
So there's side of me that's okay, I have to stay up with the trends and be online and always be posting and it's work, but I also enjoy it. Yeah. Then there's the complete opposite side of me that's I just want to go to the middle of nowhere, shut off all the phones. Because that's another thing I think is as society has evolved, our human connection has just drifted and drifted and drifted. I try when we eat dinner as a family, no phones on the table. Don't even have it on the table. Yeah. Does it always work? The kids are still trying to do it. And I'm just let's sit down, have a conversation like this, eat, and connect. Yeah. If you travel to other countries, you go to these other homes, when I went to Israel, the families didn't have TVs or anything. They just had their couches, one here, one there. And you sit and talk. Yeah. The communities are all so tight knit. They're family. Yeah. They're not just sitting on their phones all the time or computers. They're having dinner, they're playing games out in the streets, and it's more just of a human connection. And I feel the United States, yes, we have a lot of advances in technology and all that, which is great, but we're also, especially since COVID, I feel just less connected, more distance and separated. And especially what I worry about for my kids is I feel they're just more, it's almost they don't want to pick up the phone and call. They'll call us because we're their parents. Right. But I feel our generation, I'll call my clients and stuff. No. Some people, they just communicate through text.
Yeah,
that's
don't call me, text
don't
me.
Even call. Yeah. Just text. Yeah. Or just, they're on the video games. And it's when I was their age, I was out in the streets with my bike and getting into all kinds of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Living life. And I'm how is sitting on a video game doing anything? But I'm not a boy, so I get it. Boys love their games. I don't know. I'm trying to still navigate that balance of parenthood of you can't force them to be somebody. They're their own person. Yeah. But we also know what's best, maybe? I don't know.
Ooh.
Do we?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I do think you're right where I think too much of anything is not a good thing.
Right.
If you're playing video games all day, every day, that's going to be at a detriment to maybe your health, your friendships, your relationships, your job, those kind of things. But if for children, they're different than us. Their generation is, if you, because we've talked about this, like, do you give them no technology, right? No iPads, no cell phones, no video games, no Roblox or any of those kind of things. It's like, well, if you keep that from them, then they're almost kind of different than their the people they're around. They're almost could technically be socially awkward because they don't have those things, especially if they're in the public school system where a lot of kids are doing those kind of things. But I think what we try to teach is, moderation. I don't think force or stopping people from, even children, in my opinion, in our opinion, is not the best approach. Because I know some people, a few people that have either been kept from certain things or weren't told certain things because they were children, and then the first chance they get at tasting alcohol or doing drugs or whatever, then they go down, this crazy few year rabbit hole of negative downward spiraling behavior. So I try to be more transparent than anything with that kind of stuff. But
I think what's up too is just like, because I get what you're saying, and that's how I feel as well. Like our 3-year-old though, going out to eat. So he's a lot of energy, let's just say. He's very rambunctious.
He's 3 and a boy.
3-year-old boy. And going out to eat alone, like he's screaming, throwing things. I'm like, oh my God. Like he doesn't listen no matter what. So my mom was like, you should get him a tablet. And I'm like, okay. Like, but then I'm thinking, when I was 3, I did not have anything near, but yet again, the technology wasn't there. But like, I wasn't even thinking of that stuff. And now it's like, we got him one, but I'm like, I'm like handing it over, like, is this the right thing? And I guess there's no playbook, but it's like, and then when I take it away from him now, because, okay, you can stay on for an hour or whatever, he freaks out again. And it's like, are we just training our kids to like get addicted to technology? Like, I just
a
need
little
that.
bit, it is a struggle because it is a nice break. I remember when they were in that age range, to put them in front of something so they sit still for a little while was beneficial, whether it's at a restaurant or at home when you're doing things or trying to get things done. But then I think like a lot of stuff, it becomes too much. I think people use those as and again, this is not parenting advice. That's not what I'm saying. But some people use them as like, that's the babysitter, that's what keeps like their kids' attention, more than anything. But I don't know. I think it's a balance with most things. Again, the how good children are on technology at the age they are now versus what we are is crazy. Yeah. The stuff 100%. They can do, the stuff they can look up, and Mike and I were talking about this, the stuff my kids know, or if they think about something. What's interesting to see as they get older and they're not as, hooked on them as they were maybe when they were really young, especially because you communicate those things as they age, then they go to them for like beneficial reasons. Like, how many people, I'm trying to think of something they've Googled recently we were talking about how old America is versus China the other day at the dinner table, right? And then I was saying, I'm like, America's about 300 years old, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure China's like 4,000 years old. They've been around, and they're like, no way that's true. I'm like, go look it up.
Google it. Everything is Google it.
They go and Google it, and now they're like, oh my God, like China's like 5,000 years old. Like it's been a country for 5,000 years. So stuff like that is interesting for them to be able to be like, okay, I can go have the answer quickly. I think what's going to be really strange, and this is interesting for your business probably too, is what's AI going to be like for children, for people? Well,
already I'm glimpsing into that. It's like, so for our older sons, they told me that they do use AI sometimes for their homework, which I would do the same thing.
Hell
but like for us, we didn't have any of that, right? So like we had to actually think and like put effort in and like try and like, it was hard work. But if you got that A and you got it right, like you learned something or whatever. Like for kids nowadays, I'll just use AI. Yeah. I don't have to think. I don't have to like whatever. And now I have the answer. And it's almost like cheating. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's creating, I don't want to say a dumber society, because it's also very smart that they can use that technology and learn, but it's just, I guess it's a different way.
100%.
And like, even as like, I mean, I cut you off, sorry.
No, you're good.
But as like a little girl, if I was like put on timeout or just hanging out in my room, whatever, and I didn't have all these things, I would write poems, I would write stories. I always loved writing. And that's like a huge part of, I feel like, who I am today. Like, with all my careers that I've done and just what I love to do. It's like, I don't know that would be the same if I was just on technology.
If you didn't have,
And maybe I just write on the computer. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. but like they're going to be different than us. I see a lot of parents that try to push their kids. Sports, you see this a lot, or where they're living through their children too. You see a lot of dads that live through their kids, especially in competitive sports. They push them really hard, whatever. Yeah. I accepted a long time ago that they're different than me, and they think differently, they act differently, their genetics are different. It's only half me, right?
Yeah,
it's only half my genetics, and
I struggle with that. I'll be honest. Like my husband's past it, but like Finn, our little one, it's my first. I mean, I consider them all my children, but my first, my own kid or whatever you could say. And it's like, I don't know. I've noticed myself trying to like, I don't know if it's like live through him or like force my own things. Because I'm like, you have to be not only surf, but like an amazing surfer. Like you gotta be like, and I'm like pushing, and he's only 3, and like
that's pressure.
And it's like, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being too much. Like, and my husband's like, yeah, like you have to let it go. He may not even like surfing. Like, and if that's the case, like for me, that's heartbreaking. I'm like, because you have this vision of like who your kid is and like what you want him to be like, and it's like. But I need to like respect that. If he doesn't like that, even though it's amazing, like I have to respect who he is and like, what his hobbies are. Yeah. And for me, it's like a challenge. I'll be honest.
Well, I just hope that they have them and interests. Because to your point, I think there are a lot of people, and I see this in like maybe the generation below. I'm 36, so like if I see people that are in like their young 20s, like 20, 25, they some of them have zero hobbies. They have zero. Even like older people too, like. If I just worked and the family, if I didn't have surfing and martial arts and fishing and those kind of things, damn, I would be depressed. Yeah. Like I need those kind of things, and I learned them as a child. Most of the stuff I do is things I was interested in when I was a child. But I do think there's something to when you have kids, that you can stay that way. You can stay this just sort of child mindset. I speak of this a lot, just continuing to learn and try to figure things out. And, I get the wanting them to force them to be like you or do the things that you like to do. But I think if you just do things with them, what I found is that they find the love for it eventually. Yeah, and if they don't want to go, then they don't come, or, and certain when they get older, for sure.
That's like the older kids, like they don't ever want to come. They're like, they just want to play their games.
Too cool for you, Mom.
Too cool. Yeah. I'm like, okay, you're missing out. So I'll bribe them sometimes. Well, okay, today you can miss some school when the waves are good. Yeah. Oh, okay, then they want to go. Nice.
I had that deal. If I kept my grades good, then I could miss a certain number of days of school for surfing. And my mom would call and tell him, just like, hey, he's not going to be in today. But I had to keep my grade good. You had that same deal? Yeah. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. It is.
And it makes them want to go.
Yeah. Do you worry about AI?
Yes and no. I feel like for my company, it's helped in like tremendous ways. Like you said, time is so valuable. Yeah. So like for me, I used to like physically, write blogs for companies like myself, and it took a couple hours. Whereas now, I just click a button and the blog's done in like 2 seconds. Now, obviously, I go in and like do SEO stuff and make it more humanized, but like it's just for a lot of our processes, it's helped tremendously with time. Therefore money at the same time.
For sure.
I do worry about it as far as taking away a lot of jobs from people. And just like kind of it's almost dehumanizing in a lot of ways. So I think just like we were talking about, it's kind of pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it's inevitable. It's happening. It's here now, and it's only going to get bigger. So like either jump on the train or like
it worries me when people like Elon Musk is out there trying for years. He's been talking with the government, if you will, of trying to have some sort of regulations on it. And listening to some people that are closer to it, you have fears of what it could be someday, sure, but that's, who knows, again, what's true, what's not true. I find it interesting, I agree. I think there'll be a lot of automation that comes, which means lower level jobs, certain level jobs going away. Do you know who Jordan Peterson is? You ever heard of him? He's a professor out of some college in university in Canada. He's wrote a few books. He's been on a bunch of podcasts, but he said something interesting about ChatGPT is it's basically taken the place of all of his research assistants.
Wow.
Which is interesting. So now I find myself using ChatGPT more frequently, more for just like, instead of Google searching something you want to know and going to different links and trying to find different things and piece something together, you could ask it a very specific question about any topic, and it'll give you a really logical answer and conclusion in a nice, convenient package.
Yeah.
And then, so from like a research standpoint, if there's things that you're interested in or stuff you want to know more about, I see its benefit there for sure, at least for me personally. But yeah, I do wonder if it's going to eventually try to take over the human race.
I know. You never know.
Could see us as not beneficial to them.
I could see technology it's either I feel like technology or war. Yeah, or us just, polluting whatever.
Well,
like, I just feel like, I don't know, it's going to be one of those three to take us out. But who knows?
Who knows? When people talk about being anxious, I'm like, if you really want something to be anxious about, I think anxiety is a human characteristic.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that could take us out.
Yeah.
We are literally sitting on a ball right now that's spinning in the infinity of space.
Exactly.
Going
I think
around.
of that when I am anxious, though. I'm like, none of this matters. I'm on a ball in the middle of space.
Yes.
You know?
And one day we'll all be gone.
I know.
One day we'll all be gone.
But then it's like you can think of you can kind of think of that too much to where you're like detached and like.
Then nothing matters. Nothing important to you.
Is important.
Sure.
It's all about balance, I guess.
Well, that's a theme of my life, is trying to feel like I'm balanced in most things. You can't be too one yin and yang. You can't be too one way or the other. Yeah. But then you got throw in the fact that there are the quantity of nuclear weapons right now, enough to destroy the whole earth, obviously, and then some. And then you throw in super volcanoes, if you really sit around. Sometimes I get really high. Sometimes I get really high and think about these things, and I'm like, I gotta stop getting so freaking high. Like, it just. But I think it puts you in perspective a little bit. I think it's good to have a little worry about some things, because I can find myself where then I'm like, is anything real?
I know. Is this all a simulation? I don't know.
Maybe there's some people that think that for sure.
It's like, what really is real? What really is the point of all this?
And is there even a point at all?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's the thing, is we never know. And that's actually what I was listening to that podcast with you and Mike, talking a little bit about faith and all that. And for me, I feel like that's what faith is like, nobody, we can assume and have all these theories and ideas, and there's the Bible, and there's the whatever, Quran, and there's like all these different religions, and that's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. But like, no one on this planet that I know of really truly knows like 100%, even if you have like an NDE and all that, like near-death experience, that's awesome. But like, no one can sit here and say, okay, like, I know for sure what the point is, and like, I know for sure like what's going to happen after we die. Like, we don't know. That's what faith is. Either you have faith and like you believe in whatever, or you don't, and either one is just, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And it would be great if heaven was there and your souls move on and you're all reunited again. But some people that are really cool, if you follow the realm of the Bible, they're not going to be there. They're going to be, burning in eternity, which is another topic. But I don't know. That's one that I've struggled with, and I've talked about on here a bunch, is like, is there a purpose to all this? I don't know. Is there some great design? That's one of my issues with Christianity in general, is that, there's this plan for every single person. Well, then that kind of means your choices don't really matter. If there's a plan to and teachers in school, because I went to private schools that were teaching you this, I'm like, well, then what I do doesn't matter if this is all a plan. Well, no, then they try to throw free will and those kind of things in there. But sometimes I struggle with this more. Marijuana definitely does not help with those kind of things. It helps with other things, but it doesn't help with that. But,
I think it helps. Yeah. I mean, I love my gummies, I'll be honest. And when I'm doing my gummies, I think of all this stuff, but it like... Sure. It's so interesting, because it's like you can just think and we'll never know. Yeah. But I loved what Mike was saying about like his signs. Like, I found that so interesting. So when my cat recently passed, I know to some people it may sound like stupid, but that was like one of my best friends. Yeah. And I was so sad, and I was praying to God, like, please just at least give me a sign that like she's here, or like some kind of sign. Yeah. Honestly, I never got anything. I never got a sign. I didn't get a feeling she was around. Nothing. And I struggle with that. I'm like, why am I praying and like I'm not getting anything? No. But I'll be honest, there's been times in the past, and then I start doubting. But there's been times in the past where I prayed and I've gotten signs, or it's just weird coincidences or things has happened. Yeah. And where was I going with this? I remember you guys were talking about like, I think it was Peter or someone who like rejected Jesus and whatever. And it's like, for me, and this is just my belief, I don't know that the Bible was like, okay, this definitely happened, and this walked on water, and this is what I think. As a writer myself, I've read the Bible, I love it, and I feel like there's a lot of metaphors in there that I can relate with. For example, like me, just kind of, I don't want to say abandoning Jesus, but like, yeah, abandoning him by like not believing, or like God or whatever spirit, because I have that doubt, right? And I'm like, I need you to like come down and prove this to me with a sign. I need you to do this.
It would be so much easier if that's just what happened.
But it's like, God's not Santa Claus. Like, just because we want something, he's not just going to be like, here you go. Like, if that was it, like, that'd be epic. I'd be asking for all kinds of stuff. But it's like, that's not how it works. You know, at least for me, it doesn't. Like, cool for other people, that is awesome.
Yeah.
For me, that's where like my faith comes in. It's like, okay, maybe I'm not going to get that answer, like that initial instant prize or whatever I'm looking for, but like having that faith, knowing that like there is, you know, something greater than myself, you know, and that they have my best interest, keeps me going. But it's I doubt sometimes, you know.
And I think that's I am sometimes envious of people that are so certain, you know, they believe so much, they're so committed to it, and it checks that box off of sometimes being worried and thinking about what happens. Is there a purpose to this?
Yeah.
You know, do I get to do this again? Do I go to heaven? Do I, you know, if it's a simulation, do I just plug right back in?
Yeah.
Like what even happens here? But I think the struggle for me always, there's so much money involved in churches, and there has been for forever.
I agree.
You know, tithing and that kind of stuff. I questioned those kind of things early on, like, wait, I got to give, people have to give 10% of their paycheck and those kind of things. And then just the amount of people that have been murdered in the name of any God you want to pick seems to be a problem to me, in my opinion, where people feel so adamant that they have to evangelize or change people's opinions that they will literally march into other countries and kill people over it. To me, that's I'm out. Like 100%. I'm more agnostic to it. You know, they don't know how we all got here.
Have you ever, if you don't mind me asking, have you ever had any like spiritual experiences that you could say like, hey, I think there's something greater than myself?
The only time I would say the closest to that is help from another psychedelic, which would be mushrooms. But it's more of just nature in general, in the awe of how things are created, how things survive. To me, it seems more like we're here to survive. You get the chance, and every plant and animal is like this. They know they got to eat because you have to survive. They know to reproduce because that's how you can carry on your genetics. And plants are really interesting. We have a lot of plants like that. But the way they grow towards like the sun, the amount of work that a plant goes through to reproduce in some cases is just that kind of stuff, especially on mushrooms, I get very fascinated by, because it just speaks to this bigger thing that I don't understand, you know, even when you start looking at stuff that telescope picks up in space, like the birth of, you can literally see stars being born. Have you seen those pictures?
I did not know that.
God.
Okay, I have to see. I need to pull up it. While you're doing that, quick question. Have you ever seen what they call like the grid?
The grid? No.
Okay, so last time my husband and I tripped.
On mushrooms?
I look up, on mushrooms. I went to the beach. I look up, and I swear to God, I saw. He didn't see it. Only I saw it. But I saw this like what looked like a grid, like over the whole dome of like the stars and all that. You know, it was like a glowing green grid. Like I can't explain it. I was like, "What? I saw it clear as day. I'm like, oh my God, babe! Like look at that." He's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "You don't see that?" It was clear as day. So I'm like, okay, now I'm getting interested. So I like researched, and so many people who do like mushrooms or whatever have seen this grid, see the same thing. Wow. And then I started seeing it like not on anything. Like if I don't always see it, but sometimes I see it, and they say it's like, God, I don't want to get this wrong. It's almost like a quantum mechanic thing of like some
like
kind of
string theory or.
I don't remember what it was, but it's like a spiritual like thing about like our dimension. I don't know. I just was interested because like not everybody sees it, and I'm like, why am I seeing this? This is crazy. Like. And I know obviously it's a hallucinogenic, so technically you could say, oh, you were hallucinating. But it wasn't like,
I don't know.
We didn't do a crazy amount or anything like that. I mean, I was aware of
I
what's
wouldn't
going on.
discredit it that it's just your mind hallucinating, because they don't even know why you sleep at night. They really don't know what happens when you go to bed at night. Like,
well, don't they say that you release DMT, right?
Yeah,
From like your third eye,
your pineal gland.
Yeah.
There's a gland up there. Yeah, but and DMT is a chemical that your body creates more when you're born and then right before death, apparently. But a lot of people, I've never done DMT, but a lot of people that trip on DMT or go through those experiences, and they've never met each other, never been around, they see the same entities, the same things, the same grids. I'm open to all kinds of possibilities. And what's interesting is if you start to and again, we could go for 3 more hours.
I know,
here, Gina.
sorry.
But the one thing I'll say on this topic is that there's this, oh my God, what is the name of the book? Food of the Gods.
Okay.
It's one of the big questions, if you believe in evolution, which a lot of people do, one of the big questions is the doubling or tripling of the human mind. If we came from monkeys, right? How did our mind and our consciousness get to the way it is? And there's a few theories on this. One theory is the throwing arm. Monkeys figured out that you could take a rock and kill a bird. So then certain ones developed this hand-eye coordination to throw, which eventually made their genetics have a larger mind. The other one, an interesting one, is the fact that they came down out of the trees and ate mushrooms. And that is what grew our brain. And maybe what the mushrooms are telling us is that they're the reason why we are the way we are today.
That's interesting. On that note, I went to the dentist a long time ago, and they're like, they told me that I don't have wisdom teeth, like at all. Like they're not even, because they can be up there or whatever. Yeah. They're like, they're not up there at all. Like they're not even in your mouth. I was like, that's weird. Like, why is that? So humans are now evolving to like not have wisdom teeth because I guess our body is figuring out like we don't really need them.
We're not eating as much raw meat, or we're not chewing on stuff like we used to.
I have no idea. No, not obviously not everybody has it, but like they're saying a lot of like this was when I was like 14 or 15 because my parents were like, you have wisdom teeth. I'm like, do I? So we went, but they're like, a lot of younger generations now are being born without them at all because they're evolving like as like their bodies.
Interesting.
I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. Evolution has holes in it, just like all theories. But and then that book really starts to relate a lot of things that happened in the Bible to psychedelics, which is interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like the Moses in the burning bush. Ergot was something in that area that if it was on fire, or they were eating it, it very well could have been speaking to some entity or God or whatever. So it's but to me this is interesting. Like I don't know. We're never going to know, right?
We'll
People
never
have
know.
great ideas. Yeah.
I will
but
say
it's fun to talk about.
It is, and there's things like even when I wasn't on anything that have happened, like our I could go on and on. I know, but let me just say this one story.
Last one, then we can do this again at some point and keep going. Yeah.
So no, there's like non-believers or whatever. That's fine, and no pressure or judgment. But like my family and I lived in Merritt Island a couple years ago. We got this house, or actually no, this was like 4 years ago now. But I was pregnant at the time, and we did not realize, but that house was so haunted. And when I say haunted, like not in our heads, like we all saw the same things. Things were going crazy. Like it was insane. So come to find out, the owners died in that house. Also, what was weird is after we moved to where we live now, our new neighbor was best friends with them, which is like really weird. Like it's like a full circle moment.
Dang.
But like,
they moved there later, and you found out they were friends with them?
So they died, whoever their names are, in that old home. So we're like, okay, eventually we broke our lease and everything. We're like, we're out, because it wasn't a good energy. It was like negative, like really affecting the whole family, like bad vibes. So we moved to where we live now. And then when we moved here to our beachside home, the neighbor we have now was like, oh, where did you live? Where are you coming from? We told them like our address. She's like, oh yeah, my friend, whatever her name is, died in that house. Damn. I was like, oh my God, you guys were friends. It was crazy. But like those experiences where it's like, okay, like I know there's something, like even if it doesn't feel positive, like there's something beyond me in this room, in this house, whatever. So it's like, it's those moments that it's like, I don't know what it is or how it is or what that process looks like, but something else other than me is out there.
I think so. I don't know what it is. I think, again, people have all kinds of ideas, but there there is something to, your it does seem like we have some sort of consciousness that maybe other animals don't share, whether that's a soul or whatever. All animals, including us, do some pretty fucked up things to people. But I don't know. It's those questions that if you spend too much time, I think you can drive yourself a little bit crazy, and then you end up.
Fun though.
It is fun. It's fun in moderation.
It'll drive you crazy.
Yeah. Well, these are the images of stars being born from the telescope. But
like the hand one too, I've seen that.
Have you? Yeah. Pretty crazy the stuff
cool.
they're gathering from far away. And then
that's amazing.
That's where I start to question, like, man, they knew nothing when they were writing the Bible. They literally knew nothing. And then there's a very similar story. An earlier Bible version, if you will, from different generations, very similar. Virgin birth, Son of God. Yeah. So it almost seems like it's a story that's been around a long time that they've just added in the history books. Yeah.
Do you believe in aliens?
I don't not believe in them. Yeah. I think it's very well possible. I think it's, I think Elon said this actually. I think it's very, I don't know. I think it's, it seems very pompous to think we're the only ones that have this sophistication to build flying machines, And then you start to look at people that have done serious amount of years and years of research into, different dimensions, different universes, the amount of planets that they're finding, the different galaxies. There's something called the Goldilocks zone where it's too far away, but they're pretty sure like life could be sustaining there.
Oh, that's
the
cool.
fact that there's more suns.
Yeah.
There's literally more of those suns out there. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'd be shocked if we were the only one. Or maybe we are. It's like,
maybe we
don't know right now.
Yeah. If they're here, that's the question. Have they been here? There's all kinds of theories on that too.
That's true.
Fun to talk about, fun to research. If they are here, they're very subtle. They're very shy for some reason.
Definitely.
If they're amongst us. That's the other theory is that something came and genetically tested on monkeys to make humans. Like we're some sort of
experiment.
Social experiment. Yeah. And they just watch from afar and then the real sightings started to come after, we're the only country to actually use a nuke. Other countries have them. We're the only ones that have ever actually dropped them. But supposedly that's when a lot of the sightings started happening.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I don't
weird.
know. Very weird. Gina, we have tried for 2 hours now to solve the world's problems.
I'm going on and on. Sorry.
No. That was the point. We've been having some fun conversations in between. So I was like,
thank you so much for having me. This
Thanks
was
for coming
so much
in.
fun.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad,
like a little
right?
Therapy session.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's really dive deep.
It doubles as that for me too, and a point to just sit down and talk with someone for 2 hours. When else do you do that?
I know. Now I'm going to go home and tell my kids we're going camping.
Nice.
I can't say anything about it.
I'll send you some spots to check out. If you ever want to come back in, let's do this. We could go for another 2 hours.
Yes.
Sweet. Cool.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
What do I do now? Oh.
Nice. You what?
I didn't know. I was like, how do I end this? Okay, that was amazing.
Did you like that?
I loved that. Thank you for having me. Seriously.